Hello friends, welcome to Mysterious Stories. Friends, today's story is about a bizarre and unusual event that happened to Dean Koontz, one of the most famous American writers. People all across the world know him for his scary, suspenseful, and mysterious novels. But what if I told you that one of the strangest things that happened to him wasn't something he wrote? In the United States, Dean Koontz was born in a little town in Pennsylvania. His home life as a child was not perfect. No one in his family liked to read or books. His father drank too much and was often rude and abusive. He never taught Dean anything useful. In fact, he told him not to read at all since it was a waste of time. He even said he would kill Dean and his mother. Dean had a lot of mental pain and significant melancholy in his early years. It was during this sad moment that Dean found refuge in books. When his mother was temporarily hospitalized, an aunt of his took care of him and encouraged him to read. Dean was just a child at the time, but those books became his best friends, and they revolutionized his life. They opened his mind to new concepts and helped him to see the world in a whole different perspective. As he grew up, Dean followed his passion for storytelling. He finally became one of the most successful novelists in the world. His novels became bestsellers, capturing millions of readers. Ironically, despite his father's neglect and abuse, when Dean got prosperous, he didn't turn his back on him. Instead, he took full responsibility for his father's care. However, this story isn't about Dean's entire life or profession. It's about a singular, horrific occurrence that rocked him to the core. The incident happened after Dean got married. At the time, his mother was seriously ill, having suffered many strokes. One day, while he was sitting by her bedside in the hospital, she suddenly held his hand tightly and whispered, "I want to tell you something important about your father. You must know this." But before she could say anything more, she passed away right there in front of him. Dean was left distraught, not only by her death but also by the persistent question of what she had tried to tell him. Years passed. Then came September 20, 1988, a date Dean would never forget. That day, Dean was working in his office when the landline phone rang. He answered it nonchalantly, but what he heard left him stunned. The voice on the other end sounded precisely like his mother's, the same tone, the same warmth. But how could that be? She had died years ago. The speaker gently spoke simply one sentence, "Please be careful." Then there was stillness. Shocked, Dean questioned who was speaking. There was no reaction. He asked again. The same sentence was repeated, "Please be careful." The woman stated it 3 times in all, and with each repetition, her voice seemed to fade further away, as if drifting into the horizon. Then the call terminated. Disturbed and inquisitive, Dean immediately tried to track the number, but it turned out to be unlisted. No information was available. He had no idea who it was or how that voice had reached him. But deep inside, he was certain, it sounded just like his late mother. He relayed the story with his wife, who was as confused. But what made it even stranger was that this eerie warning arrived just 2 days before something horrific happened. 2 days later, Dean went to visit his father at a psychiatric hospital. By then, his father had become mentally ill and violent. He would often lash out at people unpredictably. While Dean was seated alongside him, his father suddenly grabbed a knife out of his pocket. No one knew he even had one. Without any warning, he sprang at Dean and tried to knife him. The attack was so quick that Dean barely escaped. Thankfully, a doctor and a few nurses were present and intervened just in time. Shaken, Dean returned home, yet he couldn't stop thinking about the bizarre phone call. 2 days before the incident, someone who sounded just like his deceased mother had advised him to be careful. Could it really have been her? Or was it merely a hallucination? A trick of the mind? For 10 years, Dean told no one about the incident except his wife. But in 1993, he eventually conveyed the narrative, indirectly, by weaving it into one of his novels, titled Mr. Murder. At the time, no one realized that the unsettling warning in the novel was based on something that had actually happened to the author himself. To this day, Dean Koontz has no explanation for that unusual call. Some feel it could have been a hallucination. Perhaps Dean imagined the whole thing owing to stress or his very creative and inventive imagination. After all, he spent most of his life penning hard, psychological thrillers. Maybe the hardship of losing his mother and his frequent immersion in dark storylines made his imagination manufacture something. But others believe it was something beyond this world, a real, spiritual message from the other side. Whatever the truth may be, only God knows. Thank you for watching Reality Stories. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, the link is in the description below.